Okay, so you guys asked the other day about getting the gauges work. There it goes. This is all the stuff I found out about doing a 5.3 swap on a Colorado. This is a 2005 Colorado. I got it out of the scrapyard literally 10 minutes before it was going to be crushed. It had a L5 or 5-cylinder in it. The engine's right here. As you can tell, it has a different flywheel and bell housing setup. Okay, so this is the 4L60 that came out of the Colorado, and this is the one that came out of the 5.3 Sierra. This is the torque converter that came out of the Colorado. I don't have a very good picture, but as you can see, it's smaller in diameter. I don't have a 5.3 one to compare it to. But I don't know, this piece here that goes into the back of the crank is really small. And the other major differences is that the pump drive on the Sierra one, sorry about that, is about 4 1/4 inches long, and the pump drive on the Colorado one is only about 3 1/2 inches long. So rather than change the pump drive, I just use the tranny that I got. I have current performer motor mounts and current performer ignition switch, because the computer here controls how long it cranks. It's a computer controlled crank switch, and I just used a different relay. If it zooms in here, I use a different relay. It runs into the factory harness, to the purple wire in the factory harness, and it runs through the starter. It all works great. I use the same battery cables from the starter up to the junction box, and I just tied in the Colorado 2 battery wires here. I use the same Colorado fuse block, and I tied all this is my P59 computer right here that runs the truck. Anyway, all the power and voltage, all the ones that they tell you in LS1 swap, I ran into the factory computer, because you end up taking a lot out when you take the engine stuff off. Anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. You need this computer running to get the gas gauge to work. Without this, the fuel gauge does not work. So what I did was, this one here is mostly the transmission one. So I removed pretty much all the ones out there. This one here, the 2 wires that are left in there, is actually hooked up to the oil pressure switch. So it tells the oil pressure, it turns the light on and off in the dash. This one here, I think mostly engine stuff. So a lot of the stuff in this one gets removed as well. The ignition switch, the coils, all that stuff. What else? Just to work, you need to go to the local Chevy dealership, buy the guy a couple coffees, and this is what you'll get. They'll send you all these. So I went on LS1 swap, got the blue, the green and the blue, like everybody knows. So these are the connectors that are hooked up to that PCM. So the ones you need to hook up to be easy. First of all, we'll start there. Mill control. Later on, I'll try and take a slow picture of these so you guys can all zoom in and look at it. Anyway, pin 40 on the blue connector. Summers, yeah. Pin 40 on the blue connector is your mill control. All I did was cut it, ran the mill control from pin 46 on the green connector into that one. Next one was the fuel pump relay. All I did was on the green connector, pin 9, ran into pin 37. I just cut it and put mine in. It still runs the factory relay, factory fuse, factory fuel pump. All that shit works great. Next, speed signal. So out of the green one from pin 50, I ran into pin 25. I just cut the signal from going in the computer, that comes out of the computer, sorry, goes into the dash. I just cut that and joined these ones. The other thing is, this is the most important one. If you want the RPM gauge to work, all that jazz, you need to plug this one in. This is the one that they tell you to take out in the blue connector right here, from the LS1 swap, they tell you to take this one out. But put it back in, or leave it in, and run it to pin 15, because on all the dash ones, pin 15 keep popping up, going up through the dash. Are the ones that I had. So I said, what the hell? I joined them. They work great. The RPM gauge works. The fuel gauge works now. I use the factory temp gauge from the factory computer. I just screw it right into the head, and the factory temp gauge works. The speedo works. All the dash lights, everything works like normal. But to get the computer to work, I should have started with this first maybe. But to get that computer on the firewall to work, you need right here on the black PCM, on the black connector, there's two wires, pin 23 and 22. They're battery positive wires. You just run them straight to battery positive, and then the black wire comes out of it. It's the ground. So you need to basically power up and ground the computer to make the fuel gauge and everything else work. So I decided it's probably easier for me just to pause it, and you guys can take a screenshot of these if you want. One thing is the battery light is on. I tried hooking up this one here, pin 20, but then the engine would not shut off. It kept idling until I disconnected the wire. So I'm just going to take the bulb out. It's charging fine with the P59 setup, but the battery light's on. The traction control light is on as well. It flashes up along the display where the mileage is. But that is because there's no transmission inputs. And thirdly, it says reduced power on the same display. Like traction control rolls along first, and then reduced power rolls right behind it. Comes on right behind it. And that is because the computer has no inputs, or doesn't know what the throttle position is. Because it's electronic throttle. It says low voltage at the throttle. So if you guys want, I'm just going to leave it, whatever, and just leave it like that and go from there. Okay. So because it back feeds, like I'll show you now, what I do is when I put my tune, take my tune in and out, I use these things that I got off Slapping Mechanic website, and I hook this up, and it works fine. I download tune, upload tune, do everything I need to do. But as we all know, nothing is for free. And this is a little trick I learned.
Radio stations, VOCM, PKV Eau Clarenville.
Sorry about that. Is if you go to connect with the computer plugged in, it interrupts the signal somehow, some way. If this thing ever works. See, and it'll come up on here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it'll still say it's a 5.3 Colorado. Even though I have the wire run underneath the dash, I just cut the one coming from the Colorado computer in here, and I ran the one from the P59 computer straight to that one. I left the grounds and everything else, just that one wire I only cut. But it comes up with this. But if you go back out, I don't know how good this is going to be, but if you go back out, push down on that, lift it up, wiggle on off, just disconnect it, run back in, go back up to disconnect from vehicle, then go reconnect. For some way it interrupts. Now it gives me the correct, I don't know if you can see it, but now it gives me the correct vehicle, 2004 GMC. So what I'm thinking is maybe we should put a switch on that one wire that runs up to the PCM. That one goes into pin 15. Out of pin 59 into pin 15. But other than that, it runs good for 2 weeks now. And it runs, it shifts, it drives, it does everything it's supposed to. It does amazing burnouts. I bought a video from Matt, a Vimy video I think it was, from Matt, And I went through the tune the exactly same way he does it. Showing you how to do one of these trucks. I did everything he did. Only thing different was I turned on lean cruise. And this thing, if you guys go and drive, if you're gonna buy one of these, you should walk before you run. Because even with this stock engine, with just a factory tune, it's a little more, it's a lot to handle. And you can lose your license real quick. Because it will pull to 6,700 or 255 mile an hour all day. Do a 200-foot burnout without even thinking about it. This is what I did. It works great for me. I'm just going to sell the truck, so I tried to make it look as neat and nice as I could. I'd like to say thanks to Matt, getting me off my ass, getting me out, getting me involved. All the guys around here think that I'm a genius now because I had the fastest little truck around. So, and this thing does amazing burnouts. So I'd like to really say thanks to Matt. Thanks for everything you do.